A shuttlecock that has no confidence behind it will never beat me. A strong and powerful sentence to match a powerful and insightful chapter. Hello everyone and welcome to Anime Awakening, and today let's talk about chapter 54 of the Blue Box manga series. A very interesting chapter that focuses on Taiki as we continue to build his character and his self-confidence. But first and foremost, let's briefly talk about my thoughts on chapter 53, as I was unable to review that chapter last week, and I do apologise about that. Overall, that chapter I thought was very fun, seeing how bold HIna was for trying to request that kiss at the end, using the "it's for science" excuse. And basically, she was having trouble understanding how a princess should react once woken up by true love's kiss. What a creative way to use the situation to your advantage, HIna. The art style in chapter 53 was phenomenal from start to finish. I loved the fine detail that was added into it, because it helped elevate the experience of the chapter overall. So yeah, I have positive feelings about chapter 53. However, we're here to talk about this current chapter, which is 54. So let's begin, because we got some juicy topics to discuss. So, did Taiki kiss HIna, allowing temptation to overtake him? Well, no he didn't, and this really helps to showcase a bit of strength from Taiki. After all, this chapter was showcasing some self-doubt and other negative emotions that Taiki is currently feeling / needing to overcome. But this act of not giving in and not kissing HIna at this moment in time was actually quite strong from Taiki. We see multiple feelings from Taiki within this chapter, the first one being flustered. Clearly, the acts and teases from HIna that she's been doing towards Taiki by confessing her feelings and now suggesting this kiss are having an effect on him. We see him very flushed and basically blushing, stating that he can't take any more. And this of course makes sense. Obviously, with this knowledge of HIna liking him, he now has to be more defensive around a once close friend, because he never knows when HIna is going to try something flirtatious against him. And little by little, we've seen how his resistance against HIna is slowly breaking. What she's doing is working, even if it's not very ethical or, what you would expect from a best friend type of character. Do I agree with HIna's methods? Well, no, not really. But I do understand it, because on the one hand, this sort of flirtatious and teasing and joking around with Taiki's feelings does make HIna seem really mean, especially because she clearly knows that Taiki likes Chinazu. So why does she keep trying to break Taiki down and get him to choose her instead? Well, this does link to the theme of hope, and Taiki slightly references within this current chapter, because back when HIna expressed her feelings to Taiki didn't know how to respond. Therefore, it means he never did respond to her, / tell her that it's not, gonna happen, her and him. Now, this could have been because of fear. He fears upsetting HIna, therefore he couldn't give her a response at that moment in time, and still can't. Giving us one of many reasons as to why Taiki sees himself as a coward. And for HIna, that no response gives her a tiny glimmer of hope, which she is desperately trying to cling on to, in hope of Taiki changing his mind about who he wants to be with. Now, returning to the theme of Taiki thinking that he's a coward, another reason for this, as to why he might think so about himself, could be for not having the courage to express his own feelings to Chinazu. Again, this relates to fear. Fear of rejection by the one that you love the most. The fear of making things between them awkward and difficult. Fear of making things difficult for Chinazu with her living situation. The list continues. Taiki is very fearful of making his current situation and his current relationship with Chinazu change or get worse. However, if he just loses that fear and expresses himself, who knows, maybe things might become better. I love the conversation between Haru and Chinazu, in where they're talking about Taiki, with Haru saying that Taiki is focusing too much on his shortcomings and not giving himself any credit. This line shows that Haru does care / look out for Taiki and sees improvement within our protagonist's skills in badminton on the court. Another great line from Haru is when he says that Taiki is so committed to focusing on what he has to work on that he forgets to stay hydrated. Now this line was great too, as I see the word hydrated as having fun. Think about it. If Taiki is staying hydrated, meaning he's having fun while on the court, he's not going to be so tense when making a move. He's not going to be thinking too things or over-analysing things too much and making mistakes. So he might start seeing positive things if he's feeling positive, if you get what I mean. Taiki is so committed to his goal and improving that he's not having fun while playing badminton, and that's kind of just what I've said. But who appears at the end of this chapter? Freaking Yusa. Now, this I love for many reasons. Firstly, Taiki is facing the person he wishes to beat on a court, so this might lead to another rematch. Secondly, with Taiki feeling like a coward and showcasing some weakness, it does reference back to chapter 22, which was Yusa's introduction chapter, where Yusa stated, "Nice guys aren't cut out for badminton." And what is Taiki currently doing now by not expressing his feelings? Because of a sense of fear of hurting someone or getting hurt himself. He's being too nice. I'm not suggesting that Taiki becomes this mean, cold-hearted, centered guy, but having Yusa appear and giving Taiki a reality check, a wake-up call, both in and off the court, could be what our protagonist needs right now, in order to push himself to become a better version of the character he currently is. Yusa doesn't have to put Taiki down and basically run him into the ground with insults. That's not what I'm suggesting. In fact, Yusa complimenting Taiki could be a more powerful writing technique when returning to Taiki not seeing improvement in himself. Because if his goal/rival is seeing a change or development within his skills, then this could force Taiki to actually acknowledge that he is in fact improving on court, which then might make him feel less dehydrated. Overall, for Taiki's character, this chapter was very insightful and gave us some direction on how our protagonist could develop and move forward in future chapters. He needs to not view himself as a coward, but at the same time, he needs to see the positive improvements in himself and less of the negatives, which is a hard thing to do, and is obviously a real life issue that people like you and myself could experience and need to overcome. So I like the kind of realisticness and realism that the chapter presents with Taiki. Above all else though, Taiki needs to have fun and relax. I really loved the line from Chinatsu in where she stated that the hardest thing to do in the world is standing still, which is a perfectly true statement. And from the expression on Chinatsu's face that we see when she delivers that line, it looks like that came from her own experiences and battles with what she had to overcome and is probably still trying to overcome in terms of her basketball and other emotions swirling around inside of her. Now, one last thing on the point of Taiki needing to overcome and not view himself as a coward. Sometimes being a coward isn't always a bad thing. So maybe we can find that balance with Taiki, where sometimes being afraid or being cowardly of, losing could be turned into a driving factor to push yourself to achieve higher things, without actually burning yourself out and burning the candles at both ends. Okay, let's move away and talk about the cover image, as this image was fine for what it's supposed to be. Showcasing HIna, because of course she was the cliffhanger from the last chapter, and there's quite a lot of focus around her with the whole play coming up and everything else, so that makes sense. Now, I could be reading way too much into this visual, but seeing HIna amongst a pile of messy clothes with a pout on her face could mean two things. Firstly, she's not able to find a cute outfit to wear for a certain occasion. Second thing, her mental state could be a representation of this messy pile of clothes, because it's messy, it's clustered, and maybe even a little bit confusing. Again, I could be overanalyzing it. Anyways, those are my thoughts on this chapter. I personally love this chapter because it allowed me as a reader to somewhat relate/connect to Taiki in the aspects of not being able to see my own positives in skills or improvements and only focus on what I need to do when improving. As well as obviously finding it hard to stay still and not relax. That's one thing I'm terrible at. But at the same time, it does make me want to see Taiki improve and grow and see this process of him doing so that much more, which I really do appreciate. So thank you so much for watching this review. I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, please hit that like button, comment your thoughts down below, and subscribe to the channel so you never miss a Blue Box video from myself. Have a great day. Alligator, Madane, goodbye.